pieces, Arjun, that was where he could have struck. He had a winning position in Game 2. Game 4 there, on the clock, looked like he was so close. But then again, Firouzja better with 1 minute than most Grandmasters are with 1 hour.
It's just incredible. I mean, what he's done with the white pieces in this match. But more importantly, also, you know, offense, it's go time. This is it. Arjun Erigaisi, will this be his final game, or will he keep the hope alive?
Yeah, and there's a D-pawn opening, a slight switch up from Firouzja, not the exact same move order that we've seen from him so far today. And, okay, he goes more main line. It's a Queen's Gambit declined. No early trades, no forced draws in this one. And how will he choose to continue? I'm a bit surprised, Tanya. He's been so successful with white Firouzja. He just needs a draw. He's won both of his white games so far. To switch openings so suddenly, when it's been working so well, why mess with a winning strategy?
Definitely a bit of a surprise. If it's a surprise for us, it's perhaps a surprise for Arjun as well. You know, we saw Alireza with that thinking face in between games, trying to figure out what would be his approach. This also a pretty solid line. The Queen's Gambit declined is. And I think he just believes he doesn't want Arjun to be the one to spring that first shocker in, given the time. You know, it's interesting what his approach here is. I'm equally surprised as you are, David.
Yeah. Very ambitious, I've got to say. Very confident move there from Firouzja to switch away from that Fianchetto, the kind of the Grunfelds, the King's Indians that we've been seeing so far, that he's been outplaying Arjun in. It's that simple. But this is still one of the main lines of the Queen's Gambit declined, as we see tension between all those 4 pawns now in the center. Maybe he's going to hope that they all get traded and we go to symmetry.
Now, we have seen, of course, in the Esports World Cup already, situations where, oh, we just need to keep things as is, or we need to simplify, don't do anything drastic. But overcomplicating or overthinking has led to opportunities missed. This is just a change in opening. I wouldn't be as drastic as to suggest it's a mistake or anything like that. But do we think that Firouzja might be overthinking this a bit here? Should he have stuck to bread and butter?
Why fix what's not broken?
Yeah.
And it's tough to understand what made him take that decision to not Fianchetto his bishop, to not go for those Catalan lines that we've been seeing so far. But it is what it is, you know. Something in his mind told him that perhaps Arjun will come up with these. Because in the Catalan, there are often these offbeat, less played ideas that Black also has that you need to be familiar with, not wanting to face that. This is what we have. This is his decision. But this gives Arjun some hope as well. You know, there is asymmetry in the pawn formation. That pawn which was attacked needs to be defended right now as it is. I think we're going to see some central trades and potentially some weak pawns left behind.
Exactly. And we've been here before. We've seen players with white in situations where draw is enough. They play a bit negatively. They play a bit passively. Firouzja will be hoping to avoid that. But just looking at the clock alone, I don't think this has been a wise choice to switch away, to force yourself to suddenly come up with new ideas. Arjun didn't show that he had any ideas against the Catalans. He didn't have anything special, nothing active, aggressive at least. So why give him the chance here? It does look like Firouzja maybe regretting that decision. The clock, the heart rate, not looking good for him right now.
And that's exactly what's giving it away, right? If this was planned as some sort of finishing blow, or we're really going to turn the screw now and make sure that our opponent's just a little bit confused because we're expanding our repertoire, we're playing something a little bit offbeat as far as we're concerned, that would be fine. But Firouzja would have 9 minutes and 30 seconds on the clock right now, if that was true. It feels like he planned the opening couple of moves, and the follow-up there, he's already nearly 2 minutes down on the clock, which is a little bit surprising.
This opening approach would make perfect sense if it was Alireza playing for the win, right?
Sure.
To switch things up, to perhaps feel that, you know, he wants to try a new idea. But that wasn't the case. That said, so far things are going pretty well for him. You know, they say life makes sense backwards. Opening decision makes sense in hindsight. And what he has on the board, you know, now the knight attacking the black queen, which I think feels quite vulnerable. There are no safe squares. Wherever it goes, it's going to continue getting hit by the white miners.
Yeah, the last few moves, Arjun maybe rushing, maybe sensing that playing on the clock is a good bet for him. They have gone in Firouzja's favor, however, and there we see, as Tanya predicted, she guessed there that the miners hit the black queen. She's forced to retreat. This is why we say don't bring those queens out too early. I'm surprised he used this square. Now the white bishop is going to jump out and gain even more time. Queen almost trapped, unless you want an exchange. And Arjun, a bit of a shake of the head. I think he realized he just gave a move to Firouzja for free there. And now the white king can castle. White's position, 2 bishops, looks very healthy.
Super healthy. And look at that queen and knight that Arjun has, making it impossible for black to finish development. The bishop on c8 absolutely stuck. And as long as that bishop doesn't move, black's rook doesn't come into the game either. You know, this is horrible for Arjun.
With tempo as well, the queen being forced to move twice. I think the shake of the head was justified there. Trying to generate a little bit of activity with the knight jumping into d5. Idea, of course, being if you exchange, it buys you a little more space. But there are more lines for the bishops to use to come in and attack as well. So what's good for Erigaisi in this position is also good for Firouzja.
Yep, that black queen is not happy right now. She cannot move. So although the outlines of this position are fine for black, if you can imagine the queen's coming off, it's probably close to level, especially if you can force that white light squared bishop back. But that is still way in the distance. Suddenly switching angles, hitting the black pawn on h7. Yeah, huge threats, firstly of this pawn, and secondly of the dark squared bishop coming in to almost trap this black rook. Just dynamically, it looks like black is too slow. You need 2 or 3 moves, but you're not going to get them.
And that move doesn't help the cause of development. All of the army is offside here for Arjun, right? On that left flank, leaving the king alone. The rook, it can infiltrate on the 7th rank, pinning that knight on d7 as well. Doubling up on the e-file next. Arjun too far behind on development. Don't take your queens out early is the biggest takeaway from this one.
How quickly the tables are turning. We were questioning the choice of opening and why Alireza Firouzja was using so much time in the opening couple of moves. It honestly didn't look that optimistic, but another 4 or 5 moves later, some fantastic moves, knight e3, bishop b5, setting up the sort of position we have here. You can see Firouzja slowly starting to put Erigaisi in a bind. Not only is that bishop still stuck on c8, we've got invaders on the 7th rank already, and that was by the 20th move.
This just already looks borderline hopeless for Arjun. Just to point out a cool tactic, the move you want to play is to move the black knight out the way, but then the black queen is about to get trapped. You're almost immobilized here completely. And here, just to put it on the board, the analysis board, the green on your screen right now, if the knight goes to f6, rook to c7, game over. Look at this, the black queen, such a sad piece that she gets trapped, nowhere to go. You will lose yourself for, at the very best, a rook. And Arjun, if he can't move that knight out of the way, he can't develop his bishop, he can't connect his rooks. And yeah, this one, it's just hard to even find a move. In human terms, you're getting depressed already in this situation. You're starting to lose hope. He uses his queen instead. But this doesn't look great either.
You know what? Alireza is just very clear in his plan. He's playing against Arjun's development. He's making sure that that knight, that bishop, the black rook on the left side does not come into the game at all. And the last few moves have put that plan into perfect execution there.
Right.
Queen f6 hits the bishop, no biggie. Fall back with the bishop. You could also get active on that c7 square, which looks very juicy to land on, hitting on the b6 pawn as well.
Yeah, looks like a good move. The white bishop will retreat instead. It's still impossible for the black knight to develop, the black bishop to develop, the black rooks just stuck. This is horrible. This is torture. You can even take his time here, Alireza. The white queen, as soon as she enters the attack, it's over.
And he doesn't even have a pawn to show to the good for that.
Right, exactly. If you had maybe something, a little bit of counterplay, a pawn to show for it, some glimmer of hope that means at least you've got something to play on for, at least you've got something to play on, it would be a really different story, wouldn't it?
Absolutely.
To suffer for, always. And here, he's just weakened his dart squares. That's a sad move to play.
Because there's nothing else to be done, right? The white pawn dominating the black knight. The bishop unable to move. Queen d2 now hitting that pawn on h6.
Yeah, that pawn moves, but no dart squared control at all for black now. The white dart squared bishop is going to be the MVP as it snakes its way in. The black king, there's so many holes around. Already you can see the kind of makings of a checkmating attack.
That queen's about to come in, you know, the pawn that has just moved forward. Queen to h6, it lands there. Now Arjun comes in with a big, Alireza even comes in with a big threat. And I think if you have the opportunity, let's show that. There is a trap that is being set up. It was absolutely essential for Arjun to offer that queen trade. And Arjun is in a must-win position.
And let's show what would have happened, the trap in this position. If black does nothing, for example, then we would see the white rook capture this black knight, remove a defender in order to break through on the dark squares. The white bishop lands. The black queen now is skewered. If she saves herself, we would see a checkmate, the kiss of death, and the king would have been doomed. So the offer of a queen trade, even that not getting the desired result, but it was a necessity for Arjun Erigaisi. But look at this, a shimmy here, a sidestep, retreat. The white queen is going to go pawn hunting. Black's isolated pawn in the center is doomed. You can pick it off at will.
The big advantage on the clock from the beginning of the game is also all but eroded now as well. It's back down to under a minute as Arjun Erigaisi continues to struggle to find a way out of this conundrum. The rook lifted up to a7. At the same time, it means the knight's even more immobile than it was before. The h5 pawn had to come up because if you move the king up, suddenly that's another self-pin. That rook being on the 7th is so frustrating, so unbelievably binding right now that unfortunately, Arjun's sitting there effectively waiting, and that's a resignation. The position is so hopeless. There was no way out. A masterclass from Firouzja after switching up the opening and spending so much time on the first 10 moves. Well, look at what it's produced.
Unbelievable, a match in 5, and what a dominating performance this has been by Alireza Firouzja, getting those 2 wins, keeping everything under control, needing only a draw, going on to win this final round, forcing Arjun Erigaisi into such a hideous position that he had to resign. He will be a finalist. He is a finalist. He is the firebrand of chess, and he will fight for $250,000.